Hello! Today a little bit earlier than usual, and today for a little shorter than usual. So welcome to a stream where we write Automat, this environment for automatically clicking on stuff. Recently we've been doing some things around rendering, which, as you could probably see shortly after it started, was slightly broken. We don't render all of the textures. We don't use all of the textures in the initial render, which is interesting. They should go away very quickly, so maybe it's not a big problem. We should fix it eventually though. So our environment, I can probably activate it. It should allow me to record a macro when I press a key. Then I can press a sequence of keys and then stop recording. So I have a macro like this one. I don't want to press F3, so I will get rid of this. And this gives me a recorded macro that I can now play back using the F4. So when I press F4, you can see it activates and the macro starts. So I will rewind it, move for example here, and activate the macro with F4. And you can see that it types for me. And I can stop it, start. Yeah, pretty sweet. Very simple macro recording. We have more functions than that. We can also press mouse buttons, and we can have logic. And logic is implemented using those cards with instructions. We have plenty of instructions. Yeah, tons of small functions. Now, there is one thing which you cannot see, and you will not see until you get into the weeds of Automat internals. It's the save format. So when I close Automat, it says there was a crash, but don't worry, it actually closed successfully, so it saved the state properly. I can even grab those keys and move them here. So this makes it easier for me to move this whole thing around. Okay, I wanted to show you the saved state. This is how it looks. It's just a JSON file. It contains version, position of the window, and a list of objects. Now, the thing which is annoying to me is this. When we have a list of connections, we use numbers. Those are the indices for object positions, and it's kind of hard to figure out where connection number 6 goes to, because you have to count from the start and find location number 6. Kind of annoying. So today we are going to change that. Instead of using numbers here, we are going to switch to, I mean, numbers would be fine honestly, but as you're reading this, it's just hard to figure out where you are in this whole array. So the plan is to, instead of numbers, instead of indices, I think this is a good example. Here we would like to have something like key presser J. Some kind of auto-generated name, and that name can be ephemeral. It's totally fine if this name is just temporary. So we are going to alter the way we serialize and deserialize state. We are going to use nice auto-generated names. Okay, and today's stream is going to be very fast. I have some stuff to do afterwards, so hopefully we can get this out of the way in an hour or less. So here is the code which handles serialization. Not a lot of code actually. So blah blah blah, we have locations array, key locations, start array. So instead of start array, we are going to start object. And here we will have end object now. Oh, we even have this map called location IDs, which gives us, for every location, it gives us an integer location ID. We're going to replace this with string. And we will need a name, we will need a way to generate names for locations. Oh, actually no. The way we do it is we go through all of the locations and we assign them names. Okay, so this is going to be way simpler. Actually, this could be just set. Yep, very simple, assigned names. So when we go through this list, for each location we are going to pick up a name. Yep. So as long as this name is present in the array, we will grab a name which is base name and some number. Yeah, I will think about the format in a moment. So I was actually thinking about interesting strategies for naming objects, and I think, so the point of this name is that when I'm reading this file and I say that, oh, timeline is connected to what? Or those connections, they are going to what? So I think the name should be descriptive. This is the most important thing. It should tell me where the J connection goes, because the J connection doesn't have to go to the key named J. It can be connected elsewhere. So this should be pretty well explain how this object is different from all of the other objects around. So there are more principled ways of doing this. So to actually come up with like really good names, what we should do is we should put them in a grouping algorithm, and the grouping algorithm should create a tree of all of the objects where a leaf in this tree is an object and a node is in the tree is some kind of description or like some kind of property that distinguishes objects on the left and right branch of the tree, like, or not, because it doesn't have to be a binary tree. So this is the way to come up with a good automated naming strategy. It's an algorithm called decision tree. It's to put all of the objects in a decision tree and build a decision tree that's going to basically create names for each of those objects. And the naming properties could be arbitrary. They could be based on like properties of the object, for example, what key is being pressed, or if a timeline, we could check, for example, how long is the timeline. Maybe we have 3 timelines, one is very long, one is medium, and one is short. So the decision tree that comes up with the names is going to pick the best division, the best property on which to divide the properties, divide the objects. Anyway, we don't have that, so instead we are just going to use numbers. Easy. We can even do that. Number something. Yeah, and we also insert it into assigned names. Okay, we can pass a key, and there is also this copy function, which is interesting to me. Okay, so if we know that this key is going to be alive long enough, okay, we actually don't know that, so I will just pass the key in the slow way. Yeah, I like that. We can do this. Sweet. So now we are serializing, instead of just an array of objects, we are serializing a dictionary of objects with names, and we have names which we picked here. Yeah. So we can see whether this works now. Let's try to run Automat. So it is going to load the old format. We haven't changed the deserialization code yet. So it's going to work. Give it a moment. I can maybe copy the old state so that I have it around. Now when I close this, yeah, we have flip-flop number 2. macro recorder, and connections, for example, of the timeline, they are also pointing at the right objects. Nice. Okay, I guess it's a good time to work on deserialization now. Expand actually all of this. So I don't think I'm using location names. I still think I should delete this location name. Just like we recorded here. Because I don't think it's... I don't think it's such a great idea to try to track object identity over time. I think it's something that could cause a lot of issues. I think if we just accept that objects are identified by, when they are in memory, they are identified by their location in memory, and when they are serialized, they are identified by this ephemeral name. Yeah, I think that would be better. Anyway, so if we are deserializing now, if we are deserializing the locations property, so here we are creating this location index. Actually, we are going to use something else. Yeah. Our location index is going to map not from position to location, but from a string to location. And this connection record see where we are using those connections here. Actually, instead of using numbers, we could use pointers. Yep. Okay, so as we are iterating through this, we are going to use object view here. Here, we are iterating over location names now. looks good. I think here is where we are creating this locations index. Oh, I see. So the 2 has to be a string. Yeah. And we need to fix some things, like this from is going to always work now. Okay, this throws an exception if we cannot find an element. Yeah, we should use an iterator. Sweet. Let's see if we can deserialize this state now, because the serialized representation looks fine. Yeah, looks like it works. There is a problem though. We just broke compatibility with previous Automat saves. So to maintain this compatibility, we would have to keep track of this version. Okay, so let's put version 2 now. So if we encounter a state with version 1, like this one has version 1, we are going to log an error message, essentially. Oh, but I see we are we are kind of we are using best effort strategy here. So if we cannot deserialize the state, I mean the version is wrong, we still try, and it probably makes sense to try because like version is wrong, so we're going to be unable to deserialize something. So if by some lucky accident we still can, then why not? Yeah, the thing which is kind of surprising to me is that even though we are putting an error message inside status, we're still continuing. This is interesting. Message resource temporarily unavailable. It's totally unrelated to the problem. Okay, so this update that we are doing here is it's necessary. I think the sooner we do it, the better. Yeah, now we have version 2. There was something weird here. Yeah, we didn't clear the error. Okay, let's maybe record some information about the version, or maybe it's not necessary. Version 1, nobody's going to remember this in a couple of weeks or months. So yeah. Okay, and the names that we are using are totally ephemeral. Let's do those two changes. Okay, so this stuff, I guess we can say, is done. Objects do not have UUID, but this is, I think there is a good reason for that. Maybe we can actually record some notes about this. So let's look at the docs. Let's create So theoretically, UUIDs could identify objects, like all objects in the universe, right? There is plenty of UUIDs. We can just randomly generate them and assign them to objects, but they are long and very unwieldy, like hard to work with. So this is one reason. And the second reason is that I think the idea of identity of an object is it's not 100% sound. I mean, there are plenty of objects which are composed of parts, which can be disassembled, reassembled. Objects which have fuzzy boundaries. It's something that we can see in nature, but it's also the case in programming. And I think for those cases, the idea of UUIDs, it's hard to track them. I think IDs make sense in Merkle trees when we can hash stuff. Then the content of the object defines its hash. But if the content of the object can change, then I'm not entirely sure. So the only case where I think it would be worth tracking the names of objects is when a person actually assigns a name to an object. This is when it's probably meaningful. pretty much. I think lack of strong identifiers will actually make it easier to work with Automat. Yeah, we just accept that the machine is like the context for an object, and within the machine an object can have a name. Okay. I will submit this in a moment. I think I will pull the string and remove the location name. Okay, so each location has a string view. Actually, I will just remove this maybe, because I think there is a default implementation of name here. Somewhere here. Yeah, it's based on type ID. Okay, so we have rename, which we're going to remove. Is this function used anywhere? No, it's not. Okay, so we also have names. For like every location has this. So it's a very basic composition mechanism that I added to Automat very long ago. It uses this array called front, which I think it just records the list of locations. But I think within this array, instead of using names, we can probably also use indices. Let me see, this operator, is it being used anywhere? Yes, of course, I use it quite a lot. I think I will just change it into a number. Lots of functions are changing. This we can remove completely. And also this, I think. I haven't used this location name really anywhere, and I think when it comes to names of objects, we should probably have a separate object that's meant specifically for that, for typing names and for assigning names to other objects. Oh yeah, so I had this really crazy algorithm some time ago, which was just able to solve equations within Automat, and I think I should make it work again. It's going to be very useful. It's like an alternative to assembly. Totally different. It's 180 degrees in the opposite direction. Anyway, I will do a short break and yeah, be back in 5 minutes. Okay, let's continue. We are... I am actually fixing totally obsolete stuff right now. You know what, maybe I don't need to fix all this. Because this is a lot of broken code which I'm unlikely to really use in the near future. Yeah, I will fix the code which actually goes into Automat, not the legacy code, the 7GY test. I could even move it out so it doesn't mess with the Silangd. Yeah, this function got very simple now. Oh, we are actually using the names here. Okay, this is just one place where we need it. Maybe I can figure something out. So this Blackboard updater, this object, it's a very special object which is not visible in toolbar. It's not kind of exposed in Automat yet. The idea with this object is that this is actually a mathematical solver. The idea here is that it looks around for equations. So in Automat you can type equations anywhere, and when you type those equations it will find the objects named by using the variable names from those equations, and it will make sure that they follow the equations, essentially. So if you change the value of one of those objects, the Blackboard updater will look around and adjust other object values so that the math kind of holds.
Knight says,
Hey everyone.
Hey Knight. Oh, you've been mentioning some time ago that Automat should go to some conferences. There is going to be live proc. This one in a couple of months. Hopefully Automat will get in. I started writing the submission, so yeah, we will have a proper presentation for Automat. This conference is maybe not the best because the people right there probably are not like gamers. Yeah, this is it will be streamed online, and the format of the whole conference is actually online. So it's going to be some kind of online conference, probably like Zoom or something like that. So the people right there, they are not quite players, but they have connections to investors and government people. So maybe Automat could actually get some help from like the public sector or from some investors. Automat is not a great investment, at least not for somebody who expects a direct monetary return, because it's free, right? So private investors may not be super interested, but I think institutions could be, like educational institutions, for instance, could be, because it's something that could.
Is this online? Understand.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So the return is not in terms of profit that it can make. The return is that it can provide some kind of value. And the themes for for this conference, it's like bullseye. Like each one of them is very. It seems like very appropriate place to talk about Automat. So this is what's happening here. We are checking if updated object's name is changed. Okay, let's do it like that. I could do this, but this is wrong. But this will solve the issue. So if I say that objects have no names, then the user still needs a way to attach a name to an object through other means, like by, for example, typing on the canvas near the object. So I need to be able to find the name of the object. Okay, those blackboards, I will get back to them, but probably not so soonish. Okay, what else do we have? I think this code is never active.
I watched the broadcasts of the conference provider you just showed in the past years. It seems very academic.
Yeah, it's... depending on which track you take a look at, I think there were also some almost like art-related topics. I've also took a look at them. Yeah, academics fine. Academics fine. It's definitely the writing style is very nice there, at least. I find it easier to write in this academic style than, you know, marketing or any other really styles. And it's very well structured. So you define a problem, you quote prior art, explain solution, you provide some benchmarks. It's very straightforward. Okay, this I am going to remove. This code was never active. I have no idea what it could have been doing here. XCV generic error, I haven't seen them before. Error code 10. Sequence is increasing, so we're getting a lot of those errors. That seems to work though. Okay, I think this is something new. I'm not sure if we caused it just now. Unlikely. Maybe some of the implicit arguments. Are we using? Oh, we are not using live argument for anything like that. We are actually not using live arguments anywhere in Automat. Okay, so like I said, I have very little time today, so I will be leaving now. Next stream is going to be about fixing some bugs. I want to take a look at the Windows build, maybe see why it's not building on GitHub, and I got a report from Soulfire about some issues. I assume also on Windows, so we can see if the Alt key works, and if it doesn't, what could be causing a crash in Automat. Yeah, so that's the plan for Wednesday. Fix a bug that's apparently causing a crash on Windows, and hopefully fix the GitHub automated builds. The automated builds on GitHub, they seem to happen, but I'm not entirely sure if they are actually using the most recent actions. Yeah, this one.
Dimorovic says,
Black screen on Twitch.
Again, yeah. I will try to fix this. I will try to take a look at Twitch. I know it has been happening for I think 2 weeks now. I still have no idea what could be causing it. We'll take a look anyway. Yeah. Thanks for the message. Oh yeah, this workflow run build 7 months ago. Yeah, we'll take a look at this on Wednesday, and I will fix Twitch tomorrow. Okay, so see you in 2 days. Bye bye.